r/AskReddit by Reddit Finance. Men of Reddit, what are the struggles of dating a very rich girl? It's difficult to do all the things she is capable of affording. I got treated to nice dinners, and that was nice. Finding ways to contribute is hard. Making sure that I come up with fun ideas that I can afford to treat became important for me. I was lucky that we had chemistry before I knew the extent of her wealth. So there is no question as to why I was drawn to her. Listening to her troubles can be tough. Not the normal everyday ones, those are fine. But getting stressed out about which apartment to buy is a bit tough as I struggle to make ends meet. A big one is that I feel like I can't talk money with her like I can with other people. Money would solve lots of my problems, as it would for many people I know. So, I can rant about being close with bills or just feeling poor with many of my friends. I don't want to do that with her, as it feels like I sound like I'm fishing for a handout. She is wonderful and amazingly well adjusted, and feels lucky for the life she has. So that is nice. Ex's dad owned a huge IT consulting firm in Germany. After we left uni, I explained I didn't want to keep taking money off my parents and want to stand on my own 2 feet. She seemed really supportive at first, but she'd got used to nice things, and since I was fresh out of uni I wasn't making a whole lot of money. I spent like £100 on her for her birthday, got her a few things. She didn't really say anything, but she was noticeably disappointed, which really hurt. I tried to get her fun things, but there's only so much you can get a girl who got a Rolex for her 16th. She knew my family has money, and while she was verbally supportive of me wanting to be independent, I could tell she didn't really get it. To me it just seemed like taking additional money off my parents to spend on her wasn't the same as me spending money I'd earned myself. I remember dating this girl my freshman year of college. Her family took a few trips out of the country yearly, she had a brand new car, etc., and I'm the youngest of 3 children and we didn't come from much. She didn't really care. She loved our cozy little home she enjoyed staying in, and said she had more fun camping with us than vacationing with her family. Her parents drove us apart, however. Her dad dropped her off one morning because we were all going out on the boat with my parents. He saw our double wide and said he lives in a trailer, and after that, he always told her that I come from trash, and not having a lot of money meant I was uncultured, had a narrow worldview, and I'd never amount to anything. They tried their best to get between us, and eventually it worked. She just couldn't handle the harassment anymore. Fast forward 4 years, her and I are still friends and she hasn't spoken to her parents since she moved out. Honestly, it was my family that was a struggle. Most of my family is blue collar. Both my parents have master's degrees, but one is a teacher and the other is a minister. Not anywhere close to rich. My college girlfriend's family was loaded, but I didn't know until well into our relationship. She was so normal and didn't buy much that she didn't need. She had a new Volvo, but there were plenty of middle class kids at college in the same boat. One of the things we bonded over was that she is from Pittsburgh, where my dad and extended family live. I grew up loving the city, so she and I had a lot to talk about. One year when we went home over the holidays, she came to dinner with my family. She drove her Volvo. That was the first thing the family remarked on when they asked what part of Pittsburgh she is from. Apparently she is from an area that is well known for its wealthy inhabitants. Pro athletes and business execs live there. My family made her feel so uncomfortable with all the begrudging remarks, which all boiled down to, it must be nice to live such an easy life. I was uncomfortable for her. She didn't ask for a rich lifestyle, nor did she truly live like it. Frankly, she wasn't even rich. Her parents were. Yet my family basically crapped on her for it. Grew up in a small blue-collar suburb where my dad worked 2 jobs to put me into private school. In my senior year I dated a girl who had been in the same class with me since 3rd grade, but I never knew much about her other than she was pretty, booky, and kept to herself. Turns out she wasn't from a wealthy family, but from an influential one. Money wasn't floating around because they were running 5 different businesses, several of which were statewide size, the kind that could afford running local TV ads during NFL home games, etc. Her dad was getting a community service award, and I was told we were going to a nice dinner. To me, that meant jeans that didn't have faded knees and maybe a tie with my shirt. We walk in, and her mom says to me, "We never really have a lot of time. How about while they get ready, you and I go shopping and meet them there? It will be fun." And it was. She picked out a nice wrap to wear over her dress and then saw a sport coat in a display window. "You know, you'd look really cute in that. Let's go in." I was bashfully insisting she didn't need to buy me anything, but she had me try on black slacks and a nice tweed blazer. I never owned a suit coat or sport jacket in my entire life. To this day I remember how heavy it felt on my back. "I'm going to have you walk me inside because you look so adorable." For years I just thought she was bonding with me, and only later did I realize that it was a formal function that required jackets and ties, and I had shown up horribly underdressed. And to this day I'm convinced she did that, not because she felt like I would embarrass her. She was covering for me. But either way, she could not have handled that any better. What a sweet woman she was. I met a rich girl on Tinder once. We were chatting on the phone and I mentioned my dad was a tire fitter. She giggled and proceeded to say, "They actually have people that do that." I decided it wouldn't work. Our social norms were far too different for me, and I'm sure it would have made me far too uncomfortable. My wife's family is really wealthy. We are not. The hardest part is trying to express my gratitude during holidays when they treat us and our kids very well. This last Christmas, they paid for our drive to see them, showered our 1-year-old twins with presents, gifted me money to cover a week of vacation and all expenses to go hunting for me and a friend of mine. Yes, enough to cover my wages for a week and someone else's wages for a week. Enough for 2 people to buy licenses and tags, and enough to cover a butcher, fuel, ammo, and probably an extra rifle. A large amount of money. My wife got treated to bonds and jewelry, savings accounts for the kids that they will be putting money into. And it doesn't stop there. They gift well, but that is nothing in comparison to how kind they are. They make great food. They love us to death. They visit constantly. They are seriously a blessing. The most generous and polite people I've ever met. They volunteer. They donate to charity. They love people and they feel blessed to have what they do. They busted their butts to get where they are. They work hard and seriously inspire me. Not knowing what to do with $250 socks, they became my day of exam socks. Written from the other perspective, I'm the wealthy girlfriend. My boyfriend grew up lower middle class in the Midwest. I grew up in Malibu, in, well, the 1%. We met and started dating in college. I would always ask him to come with me to a restaurant or order takeout for dinner. Nothing fancy, just local college restaurants or Chinese food, etc. But the constant eating out began to add up for him. Finally he talked to me about how he needed to start cooking for himself and was having trouble affording dinners. I never even thought about that. I figured, well, we aren't going to 5-star restaurants every night, so he should be able to afford this. But ordering in every night or going to restaurants, even cheap ones, can get costly. Definitely a wake-up call for me. Dated a girl post-university that came from a very wealthy family. Her dad was an MD and her mom was the CFO of a Fortune 500 company. They had like 15 cars and were early on in the country. I grew up in a lower middle class family and we struggled, but I still feel like I had a good childhood. My parents maybe brought in $60K a year total in the 90s. I dated this girl for 4 years, and in the 4th year of our relationship her parents bought me a Land Rover for Christmas. 6-figure car. Something I would never dream of purchasing on my own. I was shocked. After about 2 days it finally set in that they bought it for me, and I took it back to them saying I didn't want it because I couldn't reciprocate. I did this without my girlfriend knowing about it. She got a phone call from her parents. She called me, hysterical, and we broke up over a car that I didn't want. This will be buried, but my girlfriend is 26 and has over $7 million, even more in investments. I bring in like $300 a week, and to be honest, we dated for a good 6 months before I found out how filthy rich she is. When she was 1, she got in a car accident and her car seat paralyzed her. After a lawsuit she was awarded a huge settlement that paid out in full when she turned 18. Since then she's been investing her money into various companies. It's a little awkward when she wants to do huge expensive trips, but we manage. When I found out how rich she really was, it was when she bet me I wouldn't walk out of our room with my peen sticking out of a tear in my boxers when her friend came over in the morning. I told her I'll do it if you take me to Disneyland. She hates Disneyland, and she said she'll take us for 2 days. I thought it was all part of a joke after I sent her male friend screaming she was googling resorts/hotels etc. We ended up not going because I thought she was joking. Later we had a talk about how much money she actually has. I should have put 2 and 2 together earlier, but I honestly had no idea to the extent.